Hi, Kate Cummins. Thank you for coming on the Women's Bodybuilding podcast.
Very welcome, and also a huge congrats on setting this up, by the way, because I think it's something that the industry needed. There's like very few who are like quite dominant in the female podcast area. It's usually generic, so I think this is like a great thing to actually set up for females to be able to go to and just kind of be able to get a better understanding of things. So congrats on it.
Thank you. I was always looking for stuff to listen to, and there just never was anything.
Yeah, I agree.
So,
there's not much out there. If you don't know who to like talk to, or you're just getting into it, there's really not much that you can look up, to be honest.
yeah, so as long as I can help a couple of people.
Yeah, it's amazing. Congrats.
Well, the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is you were like a fitness queen, pure elite, WFF, just stepping your toes into that. Why have you changed to bodybuilding?
So that is a very good question. So for me, I actually started off doing bodybuilding. So that was actually my first ever show. It was the RABBF in Ireland. It's like the same as UK BBF over in the UK. And I enjoyed it, but I much rathered the free flow. So when I got into that, I absolutely loved it. I came into my own, and I've had huge success in that industry, and I absolutely loved it. I moved to WBFF in 2019, really enjoyed that too, but I felt like there was just something missing. There was just something missing, and I didn't know what it was. And I think after a few months, I was still focusing on just doing what I normally do, which is just driving on with training and just enjoying the process. And I kind of, the more shows I started to watch, the more I decided like wellness came in, and I was like, you know what, this has always been my goal. So for anyone who doesn't know me, like when I was younger, like I was an ironing board basically. I had no shape, like I had nothing going on, and for me it was always just to develop my lower half. So when wellness came in, I was like, right, this is a category that I wanted to do, because I was never for wanting to taper back for bikini, and I didn't want to push to the point of figure. So wellness for me was an area that I was like, right, I want to give this a bash. So that's kind of where I decided I was going to just come out of the fitness model world. And I done my time in there. I really enjoyed it. And I just wanted to kind of dabble in a bit more from the bodybuilding side of things as well. Plus, I coach a lot of females who are in that industry as well. So I felt like, why not? I felt like it was the time, you know, when you just feel like something's right. Like I just felt like that was the right time. If you asked me like 2 or 3 years ago, probably would have said, okay, no, like I'm going to keep finding my feet in the fitness model world. But I felt like I kind of was done. If that makes sense. I was on to a new challenge for me it was.
What if the fitness shows brought in wellness? Like what if the WBFF decided to do wellness? Would you possibly do that? Or I know like Pure Elite have brought in wellness.
They do, and it's great.
It's a little bit different. It's still a little bit different.
It's not the same. I think the requirements, and for IFBB, I think things are more difficult. So it's more of a challenge. I feel the caliber is higher. WBFF was definitely a stepping stone from Pure Elite in terms of caliber. So it was heightened. It was more of a challenge, which excites me. Like I like being around things that I like to do things that scare me. And was WBFF scaring me? Like was I nervous? Like getting that nervous excitedness, like when I don't even know, is excitedness a word, but there we go. I don't know, was I like nervous, excited to just do it? I wasn't, and like that spark wasn't there. And for me, like doing a show, like I have to have that like want and that passion, and I just didn't. I didn't have it, to be honest. So when I saw like the caliber of females, the level, the standard, like that excited me like beyond. I was like, this is a new challenge for me. Like I need to just do my best to get to where I need to be for Two Bros, and that's the show that I actually decided to do, that I want to move into. And I think just the females and the caliber there and the standard is a lot higher for what they look for, but it's totally different at the same time. So like you can't actually compare the two, to be honest. They're quite different, and the look even for wellness is different and their requirements. But for me, it just felt more natural. It gave me that spark, and like that I was missing with the fitness model industry. So that's kind of why I decided to move in. But I don't think I would push back now. If you ask me right now, I don't think I'd go back. So.
But you were such a natural at the posing. Like, you know, you get some, like, you know, you watch some people like free posing, it just comes naturally. Yours was very smooth, and that's kind of why I moved over to bodybuilding. That's what I want to do as well, because I can't free pose.
I think that comes with practice. So everyone is like, oh, I just am a rigid individual. But if you're coached properly and you give it the time and the requirements that's needed to actually flow. I've had girls come to me that literally could not walk, like one foot in front of the other. And after months and months of just consistent effort, they absolutely bossed it on stage. So it's like understanding, yes, you may just be very rigid and stiff and it might just take you longer, but then it's you taking that time that's needed to actually learn free flow, because you actually can do it if you're guided in the right way and you give yourself the necessary time. More often than not, I'll see females who are like quite stiff. They've probably practiced about 12 weeks out. And it's like, that's not the right, it's not the right thing to do. So like, if you're naturally a stiff person, I would highly recommend, if you're like, oh, I really want to do fitness model shows, but it's just the posing is going to catch me, like you are marked quite high for posing in fitness model shows, of course, because they want you to put on a show at the end of the day. So in order for you to do that, you need to free flow, you need to be confident, and you can get there. Like, I've seen it happen, it can happen. So if you're someone who's just not naturally good at it, get good at it. It's just like training. When you start off first, you're not naturally good at it. It doesn't just naturally, you can't just start naturally lifting the way you do within like a year or two of consistency. It's the same with posing. You just get good at it from practice, but get the right coach is what I would say. Make sure you have someone who will look after you.
Yeah. What posing coach you mean?
Posing coach, yes, absolutely. I think there's more out there now. There's more out there now than there was like a number of years back, which is great to see that there's more people. But again, just be smart with who you're going to, because I noticed a lot of females on stage will do a lot of posing that's from bodybuilding, and it doesn't really make any sense because that's not what they're looking for. They don't want you to hit like a front or side mandatory, but people are still doing it. So it's just making sure that you go to the right person who will actually get you what you need to be doing on that day. So make sure you actually want to have a fitness model coach for posing, rather than someone who's bodybuilding who can kind of give you direction, is what I'd say.
Yeah, but like I picked fitness shows because when I started training, I looked at Andrea Brazier, and do you know who that is?
Yes, was that Tom's Tom Brazier's ex?
She like dominated WBFF. That was the body I saw. That was the body I saw, and I was like, I want to train. That's what I want to look like. That's why I went in this. And now, I don't think that is for me.
Okay.
So,
how did you decide that, though? How did you decide that wasn't for me?
I want to be a figure girl because I look at figure, physique, and probably women's bodybuilding is my favorite category to watch. I just love bigger the better.
Yes.
Yeah, like kind of like you, I felt like I'd done that. Even though I've only done 2 shows, I knew that's not the direction. Yeah. So you're going for 2 Bros. When is that this year?
Yes, so I was actually meant to be competing in a couple of weeks' time, but with everything going on, I'm having a lot of issues at the moment, unfortunately, from like the last year, the digestive stress and a lot of things going on internally that I do need to get looked at. It's a bit of a shame. Unfortunately, it has gone to the point where I can't give my all to a prep and wake up one morning and hope that my stomach is going to play ball with me today. And what if that happens on show day? It's just not worth it. And at the end of the day, like, shows are always going to be there. Like, that's not why I do what I do. I do it to be better, and I need to go up there and be my best. So this show just wasn't the right time for me. So probably the back end of the year or a spring 2022 I'm going to go for. So excited for that one. Very excited.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Going back to your WBFF experience, you came second in your first show with them, and it was at the O2, wasn't it?
It was the O2, and it was the European Championship. So one of their big shows. Yes, big show. Definitely, I get excited about them. So like, a big thing for me is like, I always want to be up against like a strong standard. Like, I don't want to just go up and be like, oh, like, I want to make sure like it's a good show that like gets me excited. And again, like, that gives you drive for your prep as well, knowing that you're going to be up against high level contestants who are going to be doing the exact same as you, like eating the way you're doing now, training just as hard as you, like that gets me going every day. So I was so excited for that show. It was really good experience. I absolutely loved it. So professional, well run, different level altogether. I absolutely loved it. But again, yeah, second in that, I was very happy with that achievement, to be honest, because WBFF is different. Like, it's a lot harder. They go on, again, like fitness model shows, for people who don't know, like a lot of it, like you're marked on your posing, you're marked on the way that you flow on stage, your presence, your overall look, your bikini, your hair, your makeup. So everything has to be perfect. So a lot more goes into it. But yeah, I really loved the experience with them.
But would you say, or I know you get marked on like everything, hair, makeup, bikini, how you walk, how you wear, you look.
Yeah.
Would you say though that's harder than bodybuilding? Because bodybuilding, if you've got a weakness, because it's mandatory poses, you can't hide it.
No, you can't. I definitely am in agreement with you to some extent with that. Like, so mandatories, you have to be good at them. So again, like there's no, like with fitness model shows, if you have a weak point, you can hide it because it's free flow posing and you have the ability to just showcase your strong points. Again, in quarter turns, it's the quarter turns are free flow posing. So again, you can hide weak areas. So with bodybuilding, you can't do that. So it's you just doing what you need to do to get to that level and make sure that you are absolutely nailing those mandatories. And I would say to people, like, don't rush a show. Like, if, like, say for yourself example, like you're going for figure, if you're hitting figure poses and you're not comfortable right now, then you just need more work. So giving yourself the time. I always see people like rushing shows and wanting to do them immediately, but they're always going to be there. So get up there when you're actually bossing the pose and you're able to actually hit them properly and you feel confident in them, which is the most important thing. Because if you're not confident holding the pose and you can see like a few things need to come up, just give yourself more time. But I do feel with the IFBB as well, bodybuilding shows, like your look is important. So the way your tan is, the way you hold yourself on stage, your poise, that is so crucial as well. It's not like you just go up there and you just swing things about. Like, you need to be flawless in your category as well. You want to stand out. You want to be the one that they watch. Again, any European standard show as well, not just talking about the UK, the girls are impeccable, like all the way down to their hair, the way that they do their nails, their jewelry, their makeup, everything is perfect. So it is the exact same from that extent. And I know that they say that you're just marked on your physique, but there's a lot more. Like, if you are being compared at the end of the day, if they're tied between two, they'll look at other things. Definitely. So yeah.
Do you ever do your own makeup or anything like that for shows? Or
do you know what? I actually always have done my own makeup. I have trust issues. I have severe trust issues. Like, I really do. I'm just terrified because I just don't want people like rushing, because I see on the day, like, well, this is a fitness model shows, rushing. And I'm like, oh my God, they have like 20 minutes to do someone. They're going to slap the makeup on me. So with the WBFF, it is mandatory though. You have to get your makeup done by them. So when I was going in, I was a little like, oh my God, what's this going to be like? But it actually turned out really well. Obviously, I went home and did a little bit myself as well. A lot. I did a lot myself. But I think you should have the opportunity. Like, if you're good at makeup, do it yourself. Like, if you know what works for you, like, you don't need to go to someone. However, if you don't know how to put it on properly, go to someone, you know.
Yeah. But I did my own, and I had to buy like 5 different foundations just to make it the right shade at the time. I didn't have a clue, but I'm the same. I don't trust people with my hair. No. I don't know why. No one could do it like I could do it.
Yeah, I'm the same. I have hair and makeup issues, to be honest. So I'm with you on that one, to be honest. If you don't like something and if you do it really well yourself, then you don't need to go to someone else, you know. But if you're not good at it, like, don't try it at home. Definitely don't do it yourself.
So you are trained with JP, but
yes, I'm with
Corin, yes. But you only just got with them for WBFF. Before that, you coached yourself, didn't you?
Yes, I did, and I don't think
blows my mind.
People know. Yeah, so I don't think a lot of people know that I actually coached myself for years for shows. Honestly, I loved it. I really, and I got like a thrill out of it, of like watching what I can do. I learned a lot from coaching myself as well. But it got to a point, I remember, I think it was the UK Championships when I actually won that pro fitness model, that title for the first time. The business was developing at a rapid pace. There was just so much going on, and I need to be able to give my time to my clients. Like, they are my priority at the end of the day. So for me, like, I was overthinking and over analyzing things. And that prep was actually only like a 7-week prep as well. We won't even get into that one. But it was quite an intense prep. There was lots going on. And after that show, I just made the call for myself. Like, I need someone. I spend so much time looking after everyone else. I need someone to look after me, and I need someone to take that pressure off me. And I really enjoyed coaching myself for a long period of time, but there comes a time and a place where you need someone else to take you up a notch. And I always think, like, if you think, oh, I need to coach myself because I'm a coach, like, that's such a wrong attitude. Like, if you think you're the smartest person in the room, then like you're in the wrong room. So for me, I'm like, I need more from myself, and someone else is going to get more out of me. So for me, again, I have trust issues with coaches, and of course it took me time to decide, okay, who was right for me. I've been looking at people for a very, very long time, and Karen is someone who is, yes, to an outsider looking in, they're a big brand and everything like that, but she's so much more than the brand. Like, if you actually look at what she preaches, her values and everything she's about is exactly the same as me. So for me, she was perfect. So I gave the chance. I just said I'd pop her an email, and kind of went from there. I actually spoke to her before the show, and she was like, look, when you come off the show, we'll start to get to work and we'll just drive on from there. And that's what we did, and I've been with her ever since. And she's an incredible person. Like, people don't really see who she is. Like, she's very special. She cares a lot about people, and she puts you to work. There's no denying that. She definitely puts you to work. But I like her style. I like being just told what to do, and I like that consistent, like, rigid effort that you need to apply every single day. Like, it's not for everyone. There's a few percentage of people who enjoy that, but I'm definitely one who likes that old school approach, and it just works well for me. So yeah, it's been running smooth since.
As a competitor herself as well, she's incredible. I don't think I've ever seen anyone that shredded.
Yes, and she
Nuts.
loves to challenge herself as well. She loves to get lean. There's no denying that. That woman is on a different level altogether. So yeah, it's amazing. I love to like bounce off her as well. I've learned a lot from her over the years, and yeah, I honestly, I couldn't see myself being in the hands of anyone else the last number of years. Like, I've been very content with her. So yeah.
They've expanded their business, and I did see that they might not be coaching anymore.
Yes.
Does that mean anyone new, or are they going to like get rid of who they've got?
So they're not taking on anyone since last year. I think they opened the doors for people last year, and they're not taking anyone on as of now. But Karen has said, like, she's like, it's not going to be something like, oh, you're just gone. Like, it's slow and steady, and that will fizzle out. And when that time comes, like, I think I am a firm believer that everything happens for a reason. So when the time comes where they don't coach anymore, then that time will come, and don't know what will happen from there. I haven't really thought about it. I will definitely miss her a lot, but again, like, I'll probably go back to maybe potentially doing my own thing and bouncing ideas off her, because I know she'll always be there for us anyway, or finding someone else. But I to be honest, I don't look at other coaches. When you're content in yourself, I don't need to shop around or see what's there. I'm quite content. So until that time comes, I'll just keep driving on. So,
yeah. You said does she use like the same methods as you?
No.
Right.
No. A very different style of coaching. It's definitely not for everyone. I really enjoy it. She's quite personal though. Like, she'll be back and forth with me for a couple of days, just having a bit of banter as well. Like I said, I really like gel with her as a person. And once she sees you're putting in work and you're applying effort and you're making progress, like, she's happy. And yeah, like it just we just blend well. But I don't feel like a lot of people would enjoy that, like that strict approach, whereas for me it's perfect. So I couldn't ask for much more, to be honest. Like I don't need all that, I don't need as much detail as many would. I'm just there to just do what I need to do. So yeah,
that probably helps that you're a coach as well, though, because I'm not anything. I need everything down to a T, and I need to be told what to do. Like I was saying before, don't give me macros. I need a plan. I need, I don't care how awful the plan is, just write it down and I'll do that. That's it.
Yeah, well, that's great though. A lot of people are like that, and you know, like not one size doesn't fit all. And like that's, if you prefer a structured approach, just like myself, I love a structure. If you gave me macros, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't enjoy it at all, to be honest. Whereas a lot of people love macros, and that's great, but it's just finding what works for you really and having that blend. So if it works, like just keep going with it.
As a coach yourself, do you give your clients more meal plans on macros, or does it depend on the person? What do you prefer?
Yeah, it's so person dependent. Like every individual is different. Like you can't coach to like a narrow type of coaching. So like if you have like a one size fits all, like you're not going to succeed as a coach, to be honest. Like you need to change your style of coaching depending on the individual, their personality, their goals. And I think that's really important to get across. Like our style of coaching from a lifestyle client compared to an athlete is totally different. And again, like the level of athlete that we're coaching to someone who's probably competing for the first time is a lot different. And like that depends on the amount that's needed or required for the individual. Their type of personality, what they need from you is what we'll give. So it's really important that you tailor your approach to the individual. So every client will probably tell you something different because we coach different depending on the individual. So macros, usually for an individual in an off season, absolutely perfect. Happy for them to drive on with that. Lifestyle, they will always have an option, whichever they prefer and they're more comfortable with. For competitors, I do prefer a structured approach. However, if the client, which we do have a few, is very up there in terms of knowledge, they understand nutrient timing, they understand what works for their body, and they're just on it, then macros are also perfect as well for a prep. So it's just whatever works for the individual. I'm content to do. Once they're happy and they can do things in a meticulous manner, then I'm content.
Do you run with that kind of theory as well when you're talking about training, like training splits? Will you have some people on upper, lower, push-pull legs, row split, or do you have like what you prefer?
So again, like one size doesn't fit all. Like I would never say like you have to do this, or like I go from like a push-pull legs approach and it's progressive overload. I really enjoy that. But like one of my clients, let's say like a female who's moving into bikini, like she may need more lower body development or need more attention to push. So again, it's just being smart with our approach, like the way we tailor things. So no, everyone is different. We do focus on a progressive overload approach for each individual. That is important. That's just our style. But again, like splits, the format in which we coach, like the way that we lay things out, differ for an individual. So what we'll do is, depending on the person's goals, their visual when they first start off, and where they want to go in terms of federation, their category, we need to assess their physique. Okay, their availability to train, what level are they currently at? And then we look at the physique and say, okay, like what areas need predominant focus for that category? How far out do we think that they are? How much time do they need in order to develop? And we'll go from there. So I think that's important. Like you can't just decide, oh, push-pull legs for like Sarah who's doing wellness. Like it doesn't make any sense. Do you know, like you need to be smart, like look at the physique. That's the most important thing, like what needs work and what needs development, and then you just go from there.
Will you say to someone though, if someone wanted to do wellness and they were smashing their lower legs and they just aren't growing at a wellness rate, if that makes sense, you think that's not the category for you, will you tell your clients maybe that isn't the way you should go, or will you just let them keep pushing that? Do you know what I mean?
I get what you're saying. So we're very black and white, and I'll always be honest with the person, because at the end of the day, you're here for guidance and support to get you to where you actually want to be. So me sugarcoating things isn't going to get you anywhere. So I've always, like, from my perspective, it's like from what I've been taught like over the years and like my own personal experience, I would always want someone to tell me, you're not where you need to be for this category right now, but in time you will be. So I'm definitely obliged to do that for clients too, and we have no problem doing that. So for example, if someone wants to really wholeheartedly just do wellness and like that's the only thing that they want to do, but the lower half just is not there right now, then they won't be taken to stage for a long time. It's just taking time to develop. Or do they want to potentially start off gaining confidence in shows, maybe doing another category first and then easing in slowly in time into wellness? That's something that you can consider as well. Same with men, with something, let's say, for example, because I coach guys too, men's physique, let's say, for example, they start in men's physique, but they really eventually want to move into something like classic. Eventually in time, you can develop into that class, but it just takes time. So start off somewhere else and then building blocks into the category that you eventually want to do, or you have the option of just taking the whole time out and then just growing and developing for the particular class. So it depends on the individual and what they want. Like, we'll always ask.
Yeah, like for me, I know I could never do wellness. I don't have the genetics to ever get my legs that big. So if someone came to you and said, I want to go into this category, I'm not growing, I've been training for years, I want assistance, drug assistance, would you try and, obviously I know everyone tries to say, should you really do that? But if they were adamant, I want to do this, what would your advice on that be?
So first of all, if they've been training for years and they're not getting anywhere, there's a serious problem with their protocols. So the first thing that we'd be doing is assessing their protocols. Then I'd be looking for training assessment. So I like to visually see the way that they're training. So like usually they'll say, oh, I'm training really hard, I'm like pushing to failure, but are they really? So we'll assess properly to make sure that their focus, that their intent when they're training is the way that we need it to be in order for them to get to where they need to be. So again, all these areas need to be addressed first. Again, performance issues. So a lot of people really heavily underlook like rest. Like people come to us like 7 days a week, they're training like twice a day. I'm like, what is going on? Like, you're not resting, you're not recovering, sleep is an issue. Like there's so many variables that impact progression that people don't look at. So that's the first thing that we'll address. When everything's going in a good place and they're like, right, I'm ready to compete. And let's say, are you talking about a first-time competitor, Chloe? Or are you talking about like someone just in general?
Someone who's competed before, maybe a few
Someone who's
shows.
competed before. So once we've assessed all that, we're in a good groove and we're flowing nicely. And let's say the individual is ready for prep and we're content with where they are, and we think that we're confident in their ability to do actually really well in the show federation that they decide. And then they bring to us that they would like assistance. So the first thing for us is making sure, like, are you doing this for you, or are you doing this because you think you have to? So there's a fine line between that, because I think a lot of females are under the impression now, oh, I have to be on assistance to win a show because everyone is. And that's not the case. Like, there's some incredible natural athletes out there who compete in assisted federations or non-drug tested federations and do exceptionally well. So I think it's like, okay, do you need it right now? And then it's like talking to the individual, like, have you done your research? Like, a big thing for us is no one will go on any form of assistance until they know exactly what they're doing. Again, depending on the category as well. So it really depends on the category and the individual, the size of the individual right now, and would it be fit for the person. So again, like, we can only support and guide the individual. We will never ever bring up assistance to the person. They would have to naturally come to us, because that's not our remit. It's important that the individual comes to us about it, because I think it's a thing that's quite forced upon within the industry, and I don't think that's a right thing to do. So if someone does bring that to our attention, again, we'll talk through everything, take a bit of time to make sure it's the right decision. And again, then just being smart with the approach, like, what is actually needed. Less is definitely more. And also a big thing is, don't take advice from loads of different people in the gym or around you, or people who's doing other things. Like, just go to someone who you trust, which should be your coach, or someone who you rank quite highly in terms of the industry. Talk to them, like someone who knows your body and understands you and that you feel comfortable with, not like 10 or 15 different people who are on it themselves in the gym and are throwing advice at you, feeling like you're just totally overwhelmed and that you need to be taking everything under the sun. Like, you know, so I think that's important as well.
Yeah, like when I was talking to Claire, we said about the average guy in the gym is probably taking more than some of the guys on the Olympic stage.
Yeah, 100%. That is always the case.
Yeah.
And I think guys more so than females will think that they need to be taking absolutely everything and pumping everything in order to gain size. And it's not really the case. Like if you actually taper back, do things right. Again, like I said, going all the way back to the basics, like your training, your nutrition, when you're focusing on your recovery, small things, that's going to get you far. Like, and then in time, adding in assistance when necessary or when we feel is appropriate, depending on the level that you're competing at, etc. But like for immediate things to be just done like that, be like, oh, I want assistance, like that, no, never.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that's not something that we would be immediate with at all. So we are cautious on that. It's important, especially for the individual. It's like, how far do you want to go? Like, you know, so yeah, definitely. That's kind of my thoughts on it and where we.
I mean, if it was a figure girl turning into physique, then I think they possibly need.
Yes, and it depends though. Again, like there's some incredible figure females out there that I know very well who are natural, and they do so well. I have a very close friend who competes in the Two Bros Federation, totally natural, and is absolutely dominating the scene at the moment. So it's just understanding, like, is it needed or right for you, depending on where you're actually going. And like, again, what I would say, I know that you've been talking about like someone who's already done a show, but let's say if you haven't, and you haven't done a show and it's your first time, go in natural and see how you get on and see, okay, what's my feedback? What do I need to improve on? What needs work? And then maybe think about it. But like your first show, you shouldn't be really considering it unless you've been in it a number of years and you feel like it's time. But again, everyone is different. But for figure females, if you're kind of going up a class, if like, let's say you're at pro level IFBB, like naturally you're going to need assistance, you know, but of course it's just everyone is different and just take your time with it. Like there's no rush with it, you know.
Yeah.
Depends.
Even with that as well, I think some people, no matter how much gear they take or whatever, they're probably still not going to look like that because they are genetic anomalies at the same time.
100%, I agree. And I think people are under the interpretation that assistance is going to just transform your physique, and it's like, it's in called assistance for a reason. Like it just assists you and it fine-tunes things. It makes you a little bit harder, fills you out a little bit more, small things like that for a female anyway. Of course, depending on what you are using as an individual, but it's not something that's going to transform your whole physique in a night, you know. So I think people are of the opinion of that. Exactly. I think whoever is running those areas would be absolutely making millions if that was the case. So no.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned about the training as well. I don't think people, myself included, I thought I trained hard until I would see other people training. I'm like, oh, I feel like at the time I'm training hard, but I'm obviously not. Otherwise, I would grow at a better rate, if that makes sense. I don't think, like, I feel like I train to failure, but because I train alone, sometimes I can't really.
Okay.
Do you see what I mean?
I get what you mean when, like, again, like you'll probably need someone to assist you on certain movements, and that is difficult. But I feel like a lot of people like are of the opinion that they are training like proper intense. So like, again, a big thing, like if you feel like you are but you're not sure, again, you're a bit confused, like why am I not growing at the level that I think that I should, like your coach should be analyzing your training to make sure that you are actually training appropriately, because more often than not you're probably not, and you do need to be assessed, which I think is a very important factor, especially when you're a competitor. I don't know why you wouldn't be assessed, so that is really important. The good thing for me is I get to see a lot of my own athletes, and I do get to see them in the gym, put a little bit of pressure on them. That is nice. So again, like if I feel like I don't feel like, a lot of people who come to us have the same values, and I get to see a lot on Instagram. I get to see a lot of the videos that they send, again, through training analysis. But for me, a lot of my own competitors have the same values as us, and they train the way that we expect them to train. But if you're a new person who doesn't really know us and our values and things like that, we'll always ask for assessment, because I just don't believe you if you tell me you're training hard. So.
Yeah. I always have to send videos of me training to my coach, and he's always like, maybe you could go a bit slower, maybe you could go a bit down. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard in my living room. I'm pretty sure I train better. I'm pretty sure I train better in the gym. I hope I do anyway.
Pretty sure you probably did, yeah.
it's the vibe of it. When the dog's watching me, it's putting me off.
Oh yeah, the dog should put the heat on you. I think it's definitely harder training from home, 100%, but it's just doing what you need to do just to be a step closer is just the way that I kind of have that mentality like wrapped into clients at the moment. Like, it's not glamorous training at home. Is it fun? Like, no, it's not, and it's not ideal for anyone, but it's just saying, right, like, how much do I value my goal? And this is a shit time right now, but I know it's going to get better. And I'm going to look back on this moment when I'm up on stage and be like, I'm so happy that I actually didn't give up on myself during a lockdown. So I think that's the most important thing to kind of get across as well. Like, don't give up on yourself or take a step back when you're in lockdown. Just do what you can do at home, because you will regret it 100%.
Are you training at home, or do you have access to a gym?
At the moment, we're very lucky. We have a lot of equipment available to us, so we are very lucky. So yes, we do have a good bit of equipment available to us right now. I'm very fortunate for that. I think a lot of people actually, I'm very grateful that a lot of our clients have quite a decent setup at the moment, because we're going into like lockdown number 3. People practically have their own home gyms now at this stage. So
yeah, lockdown 1, I had nothing, and
yeah.
I struggled so bad.
Yeah.
And I know I lost my quads. That's when I lost them.
Yeah.
But lockdown number 3, I've got a squat rack, I've got a bar. So
nice. You can do so much with that. So at least we have loads. So
yeah, exactly. Client base, you mentioned obviously you've got the lifestyle clients, you've got your competitors. Who do you prefer? What do you prefer training or coaching?
It's interesting. I like them both in different aspects. So for me, like, I obviously, like, we specialize in competition prep, so I love watching someone excel. Like, it's my favorite thing, because for me, like, I didn't have that person. Like, I was always the person for me, or I had Connor like cheering me on, knowing that like what I was capable of. But for me, I love to watch someone who doesn't realize their potential, and then watching them grow into it. Like, it almost excites me more than it excites them, to be honest. I get like a thrill out of seeing people on stage. Like, I'm like that, like, you know, that crazy stage mom at a show. I'm just one of them. But like, I just get so excited for them. I think like watching someone achieve what they've set out, like, that is just, I don't really have words for it. I just get such a kick out of it, and it makes me excited to see like someone who went from kind of not believing in themselves to getting to where they need to be. Like, that's priceless to me. So I do love that aspect. Like, that for me is so fulfilling. But then there's the other hand of lifestyle clients who really lacking in self-confidence, who don't have any form of self-belief, who don't have any patterns or habits, and they're a bit lost. So teaching them our ways in a different style, a more calm approach. Like, a lot of it's focused on mindset and developing your perception of things and how you handle your day-to-day emotions. Like, that kind of stuff for me excites me as well. So I like them both in very different ways.
Do you coach other coaches? Do you have
Yeah, so like 80% of our client base are coaches. So we coach a lot of them. Yeah, huge base of coaches. A lot of them are coaches, online coaches, personal trainers. So yeah, we coach a lot of coaches. Yeah.
Do you ever get any like battles?
No, they're like, I honestly love them all. And a big thing for me is, it's not like, do this. Like, I'll always challenge someone if they like bring something up. I'm like, okay, like, what's the rationale behind it? Like, why do you feel this way? Do you know, things like that. If they're bringing something to my attention, like, I would never tell someone you have to do this, because again, like, that's not coaching. It's like giving feedback and explain, okay, this is how it's going to go this week. What are your thoughts on that? And making sure that they're happy with the changes, or that they're comfortable with where we're moving forward next. I just feel like there's a difference between like dictatorship and actually coaching. And for me, it's always like making sure that the person is content and happy and comfortable with the changes always. So yeah, there's never anything like that. No.
Yeah. Going back to your competitive future, what made you choose wellness? I know you said obviously when you were slim, you wanted bigger legs, bigger lower body. But why did you choose wellness? Do you think that suits your body the best?
No, it does not suit my body the best. It does not. It does not suit my body the best. I am a very narrow frame. I am not curvy in any sense of the word. But like I said, I love making my body do something it doesn't want to do. So I am going to push myself until I am wellness, 100%. So I love that challenge. Like naturally, like Connor always says it to me, naturally I probably like I could develop figure wise just the way my build is, but I just don't want to. I want to push for wellness, because for me again it's going back to that initial starting phase. Like I want that lower half inside, like I want to look freaky. So basically I'm going to just keep going until it's the way I want it. I did have to taper back on upper body quite a bit, which I'm happy about. At the start I was like, oh, but I'm happy with it. I'm content. I just have to hide my back a bit, but it's a softer look for me for sure. It was a little odd getting used to it, especially dieting down with the look that I was achieving. As strange because it's not that hard grainy look upper and lower compared to like fitness model shows, so it's totally different, but I really like the shape that my body's taking right now. It's definitely something that's like challenging, but like I'm definitely up for the challenge, so yeah, I'll keep going.
Because when I saw on Instagram that you were changing into bodybuilding, I never saw you say wellness, and then I remember seeing pictures thinking definitely wellness. She's 100% going for wellness. So you have got that shape. Yeah,
I never said it on purpose, because for me, I was like, okay, what do I actually want to do in the cat? I wasn't sure. And for me first, I was like, will I give bikini a bash? And I was like, Jesus, like, no. Like my body doesn't suit bikini. I'm naturally too upper body developed anyway for it. My quads are just, the separation and the way I come in, like it just wouldn't work, unfortunately. Now I know I'm still on tipping on the edge. I'm almost a mix of the categories, to be honest. I'm in between them all, but I'm definitely swaying that wellness way, just because I know that like it's like my body doesn't want to do it, so I want to make it do it. So
you got your hair to kind of cover your back.
Yes, hair is covering the back, so that's why I've been growing it. I wanted to cut it, but I'm like, I'll just leave that grow, because we don't want to be seeing any of that back. So yeah.
What wellness girls do you like? Did you see and think, oh my god, that is the look?
So
because it's relatively a new category, isn't it?
It is, like it's very new to the UK as well. So definitely a person that I look up to the most is, she actually came from WBFF, Yarnisha. So she is like,
oh, yes. I've never seen a shape like that.
Never. She's not a human being in my eyes. Like I think she's just absolutely incredible, but naturally she's definitely more genetically inclined to be wellness. Like when she did fitness modeling for the WBFF, I thought she's incredible, but I almost thought she's like too big in the lower half for what she was doing. So the fact when I saw her move to IFBB, I was like, that makes so much sense. Like, and Sunny Andrews, she's incredible as well. Again, another WBFF girl who moved to IFBB. So
she was figure though, wasn't she?
Sunny,
in WBFF.
yeah, she was figure. Yeah, she's too big, like for fitness, but she's great shape, like not human. Like I'm so impressed by that look, especially from where they both started off. It's so impressive. So I love to see that, the fact that they were quite small, petite females, and they just dominated over the last number of years, and to see their success now and what they've achieved is incredible. So yeah, definitely two incredible females that I look up to in the industry for sure.
Yeah, like you said, they started off as teeny tiny humans as well. I was the same as you. I was teeny tiny, so that's why I find it so hard. Well, I find it hard when I'm cutting. When I feel like I look small, I hate that feeling. I prefer fatter.
You're so like me, because you know, people are like, because I actually remember when I first started with Karen, and I was just coming out of a dieting phase. Obviously I just finished the show, and she was like, okay, she's almost like nervous to push food, and I was like, no, like I'm pretty content with pushing. And she was like, okay, I'm not used to females saying that to me, so I'm like, yeah, I'm ready to like pack on the size, like ready to hit it. I naturally prefer myself. It's interesting. I actually don't think I've ever said this out loud. Well, a few of my close friends know this. The final 2 weeks of a show, I don't actually enjoy my physique because I'm at that like really grainy, lean look. I love it for the show, but like I don't find it like comfortable. Not for like how fatigue is or anything like that. Just I don't really find it pleasing to my eye. I much prefer like that off-season full house look. So I'm very much like you in that sense.
Yeah,
so.
I just hate the feeling of feeling small. I felt like that, so I remember laying in bed and I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I feel like
And
an
I
old
think that
lady.
probably, yeah, I think it comes back to, you're probably the exact same as me, probably comes back to like years back when you were quite narrow and a petite frame. So I think that's where it stems from. So I'm all about packing on the size. Yes.
So you're pretty good at reverse dieting.
Oh yeah, like it's my favorite part. When everyone's like afraid of the gaining phase, like I think the way you need to look at it is like a lot of people fear like letting go of the lean look, but like you don't actually have to let it go. I still have abs in the off season, like when I'm at my heaviest, because I have control. So it's learning self-control. Like when you reverse properly and when you're actually adding mass properly, you will still look really good. If you do it in a negative manner, like binge eating or adding bits, of course you're going to add excessive amounts of body fat. And that's why you're not going to enjoy getting bigger.
Yeah, I
So
mean, after a show, I ate like a prick, and I honestly, I ate like such a pig, and it was just anything and everything because I was like, oh, I'm tiny, it's fine. And then I did my check-in. I was with Emily at the time, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe
oh my God.
how fast I gained it, especially when I gained all my fat in the middle.
It's scary.
That's
So I'm the
just
same. Yes.
it goes quicker. It goes quicker when I'm leaning down, but it goes there first.
You're the exact same as me. You are the exact same as me. It likes to just sit around that lovely
Yeah,
abdominal area. But
but
for me, like when I reverse out, I think the first time I weirdly, so I don't enjoy binging like after the show. I don't enjoy any of that. It's about 6 weeks later. I'm like, okay, this is where it's so odd, and it happens every time. I need cake or I need to have like a meal off, so I know it's coming because naturally I'll still eat after the show because I'm like made do it, and my appetite's not great. My stomach's like a prune, like it's just not. It doesn't want to eat the food, and I just feel sick. A few weeks later, though, I will want to eat a lot. So like that reverse for me, it almost happens later. So it almost happens like 6 weeks later where I'm like, okay, I need to eat everything. But like I already have control because I've rebounded well. So I might just have like 2 meals off a week just to have that control. But there was a point, like I remember the first show, like I did not reverse right. Like I don't even think I did it. I think I just ate.
yeah.
Yeah, just ate. But you learn as you go. You learn as you go, and that emotion to food like definitely subsides. And it's something that I like to teach. Like if you look to food like as like that praise all the time, like you're not going to have control. So it's just like, okay, what do you want from yourself is the way you need to think about it. So that's kind of what I try to preach to my own female clients, to make sure that they're in control for the time off. I need to mentally prepare them about 4 weeks before the show, so it's drilled in their head. But they do have a day or two off of eating whatever they want, and then it's like I give them macros afterwards, so it's not like they're back on a set plan. They're on macros, so they have more flexibility. Food's very high, so that they can control things in a better manner without eating crazy.
Yeah, like back when you look backstage on after people have been on stage and it's just a mess. Everyone's just stuffing.
A mess. A mess. I've never seen anything like it. Savages, honestly, like absolute savages. I do like jellies is a sweet thing that I do love, and I will have a bag of jellies after. I always have, the strawberries, strawberry jellies. Always have a packet of those after stage. Always. WBFF had a box of them. They had like a big like thing laid out for everyone, and I did indulge in jellies after the show.
I took so much stuff backstage to my last show because they were stuff there, but I'm a celiac, so I can't eat gluten.
Okay.
So that's why I think as well, my prep is a little bit easier than most people, because I can't eat cake. So if I'm surrounded by cake and donuts, I can't eat it anyway.
You
So
can't eat it anyway.
exactly.
That's because you've learned self-control, and like your emotion to that isn't there because you know how it makes you feel. So I think it's almost nearly a good thing for someone to experience a binge and feel that discomfort and how shit they feel after it, to understand like, I never want to feel like that again. So you almost learn from that experience. So sometimes it's not a bad thing because you learn and you're like, I never ever want to do that again. So but try to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah,
Definitely.
hopefully I'll be better this time.
You'll be better next time.
So what's your ultimate goals? Obviously the show at the end of the year, hopefully. What's like the top thing that you want?
You know what? To be honest, I think it's more work driven than actually physique driven. Or in terms of my body, like I will always want to do things that I feel like I can't, like that drive, that gives me like a thrill, being like, oh, you can't do this. Because I think when I first started off, it was like, oh, you'll never do that, or you'll never be this way. I'm like, okay, I will.
We'll
You
see.
know, in my head, I'm like, I'm fucking doing this, like I'm fucking doing that, whatever, you know. And like I remember, like at the start, like people were making like a joke of it, and I was like, I'm gonna like prove to myself. I needed to prove to myself that I could do it. So for me, like that, like I know people take like steps back and they don't feel it and they need time off. Like for me, there's no time off because my thrill levels are just, they're constant. Like I just have this like fire all the time to be better. Like when I look in the mirror, I'm like, that needs improvement, that needs to be better. So for me, like physique wise, like I'll always want to get that like abnormal freaky lower half. Like that's never going to stop. In terms of competitions, for me, it's not about like I need to have a pro card or I need to do this. Like for me, it's just I want to show up and I want to bring the best for me. And if that comes with great reward, then it comes with great reward and I'll be delighted with it. But it's not something that I fixate on. All I do is just fixate on is being the best that I can be every time, and knowing myself when I get up there, be like, yes, I absolutely killed the person that was last up on that stage from my last showing, and I'm 10 times better, 10 times happier with my look. And then if I get rewarded for it, it happens. I think when you like fixate too heavily on like getting a pro card or winning a title, like it just gives you that negative manner. Like when you get up on stage then and you don't achieve it, like you feel shit after it. So I think just changing your perception of the way that you look at shows for me is important. Yes, of course, you always want to win at the back of your mind. Like, who doesn't want to do that? Like, you're not going to show up at the end of the day. Like, that's just a bit strange. But like, you're going to do your best. And like for me, it is always in the back of my head. Like, I want the win, but it's just about being better. Like, there's always girls who are going to show up. You don't know who's going to show up in the day. So if I know I'm bringing my best, I'm bringing my best. So I'm going to keep doing that. I'm just going to keep doing that every time. And if I get rewarded for that, then that's it.
I think that all, with that attitude as well, such a good attitude to have, and that it is quite hard to become a pro in IFBB. And the same with the likes of PCA, it's so hard to get a pro card. Whereas in other shows, like I won my pro card in my first show. And my second show, I didn't have a fucking clue what I was doing. I knew I wasn't a pro. I knew I probably shouldn't have been in the mix, even though physique wise, yes, but it was everything else. I feel like you have to have a pro attitude as well.
You do, and like you don't deserve it. Like for me, like I'm very much like to the point where I don't like sugarcoat for myself. Like if I know I don't look good, I'm not going to be like, yeah, okay, I can do this. Like I can't. Like I just need more time. And like that happened this showing. Like my digestion's all over the place. And some days are good, some days are bad. It's not helping. So I'm just like, I can't do my best right now. And all I want to do is go up there and smash my last package. Could I do it? If my digestion was good, yes, I definitely could. And I know I would be content in my ability, but right now is not my time. And like I said earlier, like I feel like everything happens for a reason, and that wasn't meant to happen. So now it's just to go in, get better, so that when I do go up there again, I'll be 10 times happier and know that I made the right decision, if that makes sense.
It just means a longer off season, bigger legs.
Yeah. Bigger legs, yes, absolutely. So I think that's the thing, like people chase shows, like people like often chase shows, like, you know, for yourself, like moving into figure, you seem like to be someone who's very much on it. You know what you need to do, you know what you need to do in order to develop and to be in the rankings for taking a top spot, and to know that you could actually do that and your ability to do that. Like, you want to go up there and feel confident and not rush it. So like, if I could give any advice to a female, it's just like, please don't rush it. Like, people see the glitz and the glam and the bikinis and the show day and the hype around an individual doing a show, and they want to do it, but it's like, okay, have you actually taken the time to understand what's involved? So just take your time with the show. Is what I would say. And
it looks glamorous, but it's not as glamorous as you say.
No, it's not. Like, I literally go around like a homeless person. Like, in our apartment complex, I am not joking. Like, when I'm going down for cardio in the mornings, genuinely, I think like the workers think there's something wrong with me because I look crazy. It's like, hey, it's me again. Yeah, on the treadmill. Here we go. Yeah. You know, so like, I just don't care. But like, again, like, I just feel that side of things isn't shown, like how difficult things are, because it is hard. Like, you're going to be hungry, you're going to be tired, like, it's not the nicest thing in the final few weeks, but if you're truly passionate about it, you'll get it done. So
I know some people, when they diet down so much, obviously the periods stop. I haven't had that personally. It was late, but it didn't stop. But I know some people have like lost their hair due to like strong dieting. Do you get anything like that, or do any of your girls have this? Do you think that's a coaching thing, or do you think that's a personal thing? Like, are they being coached too hard?
It depends on the individual. So the cycle depends on body fat as well. Like, so like, from it varies from an individual. Like, we could have a female with extremely low body fat and cycle is still running perfectly and she's in a good place. So again, it really does depend on the individual. For me, like, I lose mine quite quickly because I get lean quite fast. So like, within 6 weeks into a dieting phase, 8 weeks, I could lose my cycle. But I make sure that afterwards, like, my supplementation is good, like, I'm eating really well. After the show, I'll always get my bloods done about 2 to 3 weeks after, to make sure everything is in a good place internally, that that health markers are good, and then I'll move forward with that, depending on where they are and what supplementation I need to implement, if any. Usually I don't. Usually everything is perfect. Once body fat starts to creep back up, within about 4 or 5 weeks, I usually regain my cycle. So again, it varies for individual to person, so it just depends.
Yeah, I never thought about getting bloods done, like that kind of thing. If it
so important. Oh my God. So important. Get your bloods done. Okay.
What, just
that's important.
By like a normal GP?
Yes. Yeah, you can get it done by GP. There's companies that do it as well. You can just get your blood work done. It's so important that you get your bloods done, especially first off starting a prep and when you come out of a prep, especially like natural or assisted, you should be getting it done regardless, to make sure everything is in a good place. Like, you're dieting your body down to make it do something that it naturally doesn't want to do. There's a lot of stress and fatigue on the body. Getting your body back up to a good physiological state after the show is so important. So how can you know internally what's going on until you actually get your health markers checked? So we make everyone do it.
I go by my internals, by how often I go to the toilet.
Okay.
How are things running?
I would suggest, I definitely would recommend getting bloods if you don't. It's so important. Well, for us anyway, as coaches, I like to make sure that internally things are in a good place, like health markers are good before we move forward again. Like, it's important. So health and well-being comes first before anything. So that's an area that I do like to focus on. Just personally as a coach, like, not everyone is entitled to do that, but for me, I do like to do that. Whether you're assisted or you're natural, it's important for me.
Would your bloods kind of tell you if anything's lacking?
Yes.
So everyone should get it done anyway. Does that impact muscle growth or anything like that as well?
So like it depends on the type of bloods that you get done. So like if you're just a regular lifestyle client and there's like a lot of fatigue, or naturally depending on food, like if we alter food protocols and you're in a good place and there's still an issue, or your digestion isn't great and you're feeling a lot of fatigue, like there's something internally not right, or you're not able to, let's say, lose weight at like a pace that we feel like you should be, like then we'd ask you to get bloods done. There could be a thyroid issue, there could be an iron level issue due to fatigue, etc. Like there's so many different variables that can impact progression. But like if you're exhausting all variables outside in terms of protocols, you need to check what's going on internally. So that is important. So yeah, we do get bloods on everyone.
Well, that's my next thing to do.
Yes, 100%. I think it's so important as well. Like with regards to supplementation, like there may something, a marker may be off just very slightly that you may need to implement, especially to the point where there's only so much that you can get from food. So again, it's not something that you like in terms of supplementation, it's not something that you use instead of getting proper nutrients from foods and things like that, but you might need assistance in it, for something small, just to make sure you're in a good place. I'm a bit meticulous with that kind of stuff. Small bit of a sergeant with that, but it is so important that we get that sorted. So yeah.
Well, you sound like a coach to be trusted.
That's an important one for me as well, like reassurance and making sure like for the last number of years, like we haven't achieved like the results that we have or the success in the competitive world with clients without being that meticulous. So it is important that everyone is looked after in all aspects, and no matter how many clients we have, like we obviously cap it at a point because we need to make sure we give everything. Like every client needs to make, for me it's important that every client feels like they're our only client, so everything needs to be monitored. Profiles are quite large. lots of backups on my computer, but yeah, it is important that everything is monitored. So yeah.
Are you just growing your business with the clients, or are you going to be taking it like in another route?
For me, like I just love what I do. For me, it's like never, like expansion was like never a thing for me. It was always like, okay, like this is what I love to do, and people having that trust in you over years and then continually moving forward. And people don't see the background work as well. Like we spend a lot every month on education as well. So you can never ever stop learning. Like we have a business mentor, we have an education mentor, we have so many background things that we do on a monthly basis to make sure that we are at the top of our game, that we know exactly what we're doing, that we're always moving forward, to make sure that we're not getting stale, which is so crucial, especially as a coach. It's so important. So never stop learning. It's important. So
yeah, there are out there, like for me, obviously, like I said, I'm not a coach, I'm not a PT, I've never done anything. I was just someone who loves training. Everything I read is different, and and everyone's a coach, and it's so confusing. How would someone like me, when I started, even go to pick a coach or look for a coach? Like what type of things should people look out for?
That's actually such a good question, to be honest, because there is that like people will say the market is like saturated right now with like coaches, and yes, I do agree to a fraction, but it's like for someone looking in, like I can understand how people can get caught up with like wording or like fancy documents or things like that, like take your time. Like it took me over a year to decide on Karen. Like I needed to watch her from the outside first. I was watching everything that she was doing, and I needed to feel that vibe from her after speaking to her. So like if you're someone going in for the first time getting a coach, like I would strongly recommend taking your time, try to see what like suits you. So follow the individual for a while, see what they're about, their results, communicate with them, like let them see like what you're about, what they have to offer for you. Just take your time with it and make sure that the person is educated, like, and they know what they're doing. And also that you're getting feedback from like previous clients. Like don't be afraid to message a client and ask them like what's your experience with them, etc. Like I think that's important as well. So yeah.
I've I'm on my third coach now. That I know that's bloody terrible, because I was with my first coach and he was good, but I felt like I needed more more like that's when I went with Emily Hackett.
Okay.
oh, she's such a fucking good coach.
She's amazing.
She's so good. She was so on me, and I need to be on, if that makes sense, or I just float. Like after my comp, she said, "Oh, have a like a week of training, kind of what you want." And I walked in the gym like, oh, I don't even. What do I like doing anymore? I don't know. But then I chose, and then I didn't have a coach for a bit because of lockdown. My mind wasn't in it. And then I picked the coach I'm with now because he trains a lot of girls for bodybuilding shows and PCA shows.
Great.
And I looked at all his girls, and that's how I picked him.
Yeah.
So,
but you also transitioned. So you were with a fitness model coach for fitness modeling. You transitioned to someone who specializes more in that area, and that's different. So like you were happy with the coaching process. You just wanted to go to someone who's more specialized in a different area, and there's definitely nothing wrong with that, because at the end of the day, like if it's not working, like it's just not working, that's fine for you to move on. But like it's different if you just want to go to someone who's specialized in a different area, which is perfect. So yeah, just definitely take your time with who you're picking. I think that's really important, because people often rush it and then they end up having like a really bad experience, and there's like nightmare stories, and it's like, okay, well, just take your time like the next time picking someone. So I think that's important.
And also listen to your coach, because my first show I was backstage, my coach wasn't there, and he like told me what to eat and stuff, but I saw everyone was eating rice cakes. I was texting him like, do I eat that too? He was like, you haven't eaten a rice cake in like 2-3 months, why would you eat one now? I'm like, everyone else is. So listen to your coach and not other people, because everyone was like, oh yeah, just have it, it's fine. But
yeah, I think people have a tendency to panic backstage. I've seen a load of that. I actually remember, I think it was about 2 years ago at was it the Pure Elite show, and I think there was a girl sitting across from me, and just with a spoon with peanut butter, I was like, oh my God. Like, if you are told to do something, do it. You don't need to do what others are doing. Don't worry about what others are doing, because a lot of individuals get panicked, especially when they see things online as well. Let's say, for example, a coach gives them a protocol for them that's totally tailored to them. Then they see someone else is doing this amount of cardio or eating this amount of calories. And it's like, okay, like, oh, should I be doing that, or they're doing that and they're in my category or whatever. And it's like, no, you should be doing what you need to do for you, because you're different to them. Your response rate is different, and just do you. So staying in your own lane is really important, and not fixating too heavily on what others are doing. Otherwise, you're just going to lose your shit totally and not be able to kind of enjoy your own process, which is really sad. So a lot of people heavily fixate on like what others are doing, so much to the point that they almost feel so negative about what they're doing that they can't enjoy it, and they end up falling out of love with the sport. And I always get upset with that, because I see a lot of old competitors talking negatively about the sport, and it doesn't actually have to be that way if you are just guided and supported in the right manner. So yeah, another reason for taking your time and just listening to your coach as well.
Yeah, it is an expensive sport, and you need to be open to criticism, because the whole point of it is when you're on stage, you are ripped apart.
You are. And that's actually a very good point, to be honest, because a lot of people can't take critique, and it's like understanding like that critique is there to better you. So like if I'm told something's not good enough, like when I came off stage, the minute I got off stage, I was like, I need this feedback. I wanted to know what was wrong, what I needed to improve on, and how I do better next time. When I'm told things aren't where they need to be, what needs to be improved, it's in my head every day, and I repeat that and I repeat it, and it gives me a drive. But some people almost take it as offense. If you're taking it as offense, you shouldn't be in the sport.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like they're just only trying to better you and tell you what you need to do to come back better, to actually do better. So if you can't take the heat, then just don't go into the kitchen.
Yeah. And you need, as much as people say like, don't be too self-critical, I think you kind of have to be.
Yeah.
Like I'm ripping myself apart in the mirror because I know what's lacking.
To
but
a degree.
But I think probably I'm a bit worse.
there's a degree of it. So like I think a big thing for me, especially like as like I can see what I need to work on, but I'll never like talk myself down. So I think that's a big thing from a coaching standpoint as well. If someone says to me I'm not ready, or I feel like I'm shit, or you know, I'm like, okay, like you are really good where you're at right now. Do you need more time? Yes, you do. So we'll just give you more time. So again, like you're always going to be a work in progress. That's the thing about the sport. That's the beauty of it. You're never done. And that's the exciting thing. So don't feel like you're stressing yourself out because you're not where you need to be now. Am I where I want to be right now? No, of course I'm not. You know, but that's what the sport is about. You're forever growing and expanding your development, and that's part of the process. So don't feel like so caught up in where you are right now, because you're still going places if you allow yourself to. So allow yourself to just be one with the process. And when you're fully in tune with the process and you know where you want to be, you'll just focus so heavily on day-to-day improving that you'll forget about those negative thoughts, and you'll just start focusing on your own journey rather than being like, oh shit, I'm not there, we're there yet. And that becomes a problem when you kind of start steering off. So that's a big thing I teach. So for me, like, it's not about like just physique. Like, you have to be able to train the mind and your mentality and the way that you perceive things, especially in a prep, especially for a first timer. So I'll do a lot of mindset work with individuals to make sure that they're razor sharp in terms of their mind, and that they're just in their own lane on their journey. That's so important, because a lot of people aren't there in that support. And they forget that the mind is just as important as the physique. And if you don't train that, like, you're going to fail. So it's like understanding both need to work together to have that strong mentality.
Yeah. Mentality is probably the one. And being surrounded by people who won't, like you said before, about people who are like, can you do it? I'm lucky. I'm surrounded by people who are like, yeah, you got this.
That's nice. You're lucky.
Yeah, but I don't know anyone that competes, or like, I used to train with a friend and she got sick a couple of years ago, so hasn't been able to train. Hopefully when the gym's open she can come back.
Okay.
I love having someone there. But when you don't know anyone in the competitive industry, that can throw your mindset off as well, because you don't know where to look.
You don't know where to look. So again, like a coach. So I'll always send like clients, like especially competing for the first time, females who I think represent that class or that federation really, really well. I'll send them to actually be able to follow their journey and to just appreciate them and what they're doing, and not to compare themselves, but just so that they get a better understanding of like someone's mindset who competes in the federation. Not from just a coaching standpoint. So that's important to me as well. So again, like, just kind of opening their eyes to the actual federation itself is great, but like to other competitors who are in the industry who are very high up in the particular class that they're doing, I do like to send them not to compare, like I said, but just to have admiration and to be able to like understand like the feelings that they go through when they're going through a prep and all that kind of stuff. So they kind of have a better knowledge themselves what they're getting into, rather than just hearing it from me, because that's important. If they don't have that support mechanism like that you need, then you just go watch other people who I think would be good for them.
Do you stay on social media when you're in prep?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
I had to unfollow so many people because it was putting me off.
Okay.
Because I knew who I was going to be up against, and it was just throwing me off. So Emily was like, just unfollow, and it made me feel so much better, because I can't not compare myself to other people when I'm getting ready for a show. So I just delete them. And I'm after delete if I don't want to see.
The way I see it is like, I'm there to help other people, and like my experience I hope will help others. So like my mentality around shows is, okay, there's always going to be someone better than you, and whoever shows up on the day is showing up on the day, and you doing what you need to do is not going to make any changes to the judge's opinion on that day. So all you can do is bring your absolute best. And if it's the best on that day, then absolutely incredible. If you need to go back and fine tune a few things and come back better, then that's what you need to do. And again, reverting back to that mentality that everything happens for a reason. Like, it will be your time when it's your time, but like, the art of comparison is the thief of joy. So if you're constantly comparing yourself, again, you're not going to love the process. You're going to end up hating it. Like, I never compare myself to people. Like, if there's someone better than me and I see someone who's sick, like, that just makes me work harder and just makes me drive on. Like, I've never actually seen myself as like, oh, this person's going to be like against me, like, or that person. It's always like, okay, this person's going to be on stage with me. I need to bring the heat and do everything that I can to be my best. So again, it's just changing your perception and your thought process, which should be taught by your coach if they do focus on mindset. So that again is really important to me, but that took years for me to get that mindset.
Yeah, I never felt like that when I saw them saved in real life. I never felt like that.
It was just online.
It was just in my prep. Your mind does funny things for you. to you.
And everyone, like, you should try maybe reflection. So like, self-reflection is really good. I get all my girls to do it, like journaling on how they're feeling, their thought processes, and 3 good things about yourself every day. So like, first thing in the morning, I want, like, celebrate gratitude and like what you're grateful for, what you've achieved, and it helps you have clarity throughout the day and feeling good about your actual self. And then when you go online, it probably will be less intimidating, if that makes sense. So it's all about mind again.
Yeah,
try it. Definitely try it.
I will try it. Well, thank you so much for coming to talk to me, and huge like best of luck to being the wellness monster.
Thank you so much.
I have a couple of quick fire questions.
Okay.
They're not really bodybuilder related.
Okay.
So
I'm nervous.
if you had to date one of the 7 dwarves, which one?
Oh my God. I don't even know who that is. Sleepy. Is that one?
That is one. Is that because you'll be in bed all the time?
Because I love to sleep. I literally will nap anywhere. So yeah, Sleepy would be the one.
Would you rather come face to face with a miniature hippo or a giant cockroach? Both are in a really bad mood.
Oh, miniature hippo. 100%.
Yeah, but hippos are nasty.
The cockroach would even if it was small, I would be terrified of the cockroach. Yeah, anything like that. Oh my God, that has even given me shivers. I'm thinking about it. Yeah, no.
If a movie was made about your life, what genre would it be?
Oh my God. Wow. That's really tough. That's probably the hardest question I've ever been asked in my life. Mixture between like comedy and action, I would say. Yeah.
Would you rather swim in custard or rice pudding?
Oh, custards. Yes.
Yeah, I suppose less chunky. Yeah.
Yum. You could eat more of it. Yeah. Digest better. Digest way better. Yeah. Custard.
All right. Thank you so much for coming on the Women's Bodybuilding Podcast. And
it's been such a pleasure.
I hope to speak to you soon.
Definitely. And I wish you all of the success with this. I no doubt know that this is going to be one to watch over the coming months. So I'm excited for you. Well done.
Thank you very much. See you later.
See you soon.
Bye.